All right, Louisiana Tech, Florida International. This is the other Friday night college football matchup. Louisiana Tech, 6.5-point road favorites, 58.5 the total. Look at this respect for Florida International, who actually opened, as 8.5-point home underdogs here, down to 7.5. I'm even seeing 6.5. It's crossed that key number here for down to a 6.5 in some spots. So people seeing that, well, all of a sudden there's a little bit of a flicker of light for Florida International the last couple of games. They've actually covered 3 of their last 4, beat New Mexico State. They had the loss to UConn, but they were actually outgained UConn by 7 yards in that game. They lost 30-10 to UTSA, but a 20-point loss to the Roadrunners is actually pretty respectable. Covered that number wire to wire. UTSA never even came close. Covering that number is 33.5-point favorites. And then an outright win is 13.5-point dogs against Charlotte, 34-15. We've seen this late in the season before with teams. We've seen this with Old Dominion last year. We've seen it with a bunch of teams where they start out so awful and they're an all-time bad team straight up in ATS. Then all of a sudden they start to put some point spread covers together, start to have some more competitive games, hell, even start to win a couple of games like FIU is, and they remain undervalued for a period of time, and you can ride a team like that, for a long period of time. But the question is, has enough of an adjustment made? So I'm not stepping in front of this little run FIU's putting together, because I've seen this kind of script transpire before. Mid to late season college football, teams just so bad early on that they get devalued so much in the betting markets to the point now where all of a sudden every week they're starting to play better. They're covering numbers. They're more competitive. And it takes sometimes weeks. Sometimes it doesn't even take. Sometimes the adjustment isn't there at all. It's not strong enough at any point for the adjustment to be made to the improvement that we're seeing from FIU here on a weekly basis. So I'm not going against this little run they've put together. They look like they've been undervalued. They're undervalued right now, and they've been devalued so much because of that bad start. And remember, Louisiana Tech's got a horrible defense. That's another thing that's concerning about laying points with them on the road. They just lost 42-41 to Rice in overtime. They gave up 47 points to North Texas the week before that. It's just a defense that's not stopping the run. They're not stopping the pass. It is just a defense having a tough time. And they played all 3 quarterbacks last week. Landry Liddy, Parker McNeil started the game. He got banged up. They had to put Matt Downing in, who started the year as the #1 quarterback for Louisiana Tech. He was okay, but not great. So I'd actually lean to the home dog here. Like I say, I've seen this script before where a team is just so bad, historically bad for a month. Then now all of a sudden they're showing improvement and actually competing in games, winning a couple games. And sometimes it can take weeks. And sometimes for an adjustment to be made in the betting markets. And sometimes that adjustment isn't made because of the fact that they've been so devalued. You can ride a team once they start to show some sign of improvement for the rest of the season. Could that be the case right now with FIU? What do you think here, Conor? La Tech, FIU.
Yeah, it just seems like after the 73-0 beatdown, they've been a lot better. Because I had to see more of it because it's like, was that just a fluke game? Was UTSA not really caring? Because that was nothing. They kind of pulled away. It was 30-10, and then this 34-15. So both these games have stayed under. But you've mentioned the La Tech is just dead over. They've been money over, and again against Rice, I've gone to the over. So, and then when these teams get together, it's an over. So I think this total is a little light. I got to look more into it, but I'd only be on the over. And I got to take FIU. I just think they've been a lot better. With a team like La Tech and that defense, you can't lay points on the road and win. That's just not – you're not consistently – if you bet that way, you're not going to win much long term. So, but you can do a little bit more. I'd have to roll with FIU. Crazy to say. I probably wouldn't have said that, a month ago.
That's why it's a long season in college football. You've always got to be, when you're a veteran handicapper, you've got to be willing to pivot. You've got to be willing to make, adjustments in your opinion on a team, especially in relation to where they're priced, where they're lined, and right now FIU it looks like they're a little undervalued because you're starting to see this team play a little bit more than a little bit better and certainly more competitive. We'll see if that can, and I lean with you too, with the over as far as the total is concerned as well with this Friday night game.